What's going on, guys? It's Max Clausen, and I know it's been a little while since I made a deck profile, but a lot of things have been going on. I don't do a lot of community posts, but I will start trying to do those more often. But I'm gonna be bringing you guys my updated Yubel profile for the September 2nd ban list. This deck did get hit with the Spirit Gate to 1, but we still have our other cards. We still have our fusions, the main deck monsters like the Sacred Beasts, Sacred ones. So this deck is still pretty good, just like Snake Eyes, even though they lost 2 more cards. Well, technically in a sense, 3 or 4. They still can play because they still have Flamberge and Oak. So this deck can still play, and it does very well still because it's Yubel damage redirection. So enough rambling. I'm gonna get you into the main, extra, and side. Keep in mind the side deck is just what I had on me at the moment because I went straight from work to locals, and I didn't have the cards that I wanted. But this is what I had, and I did get a record of 50-50. Obviously I didn't record them, but my matches were against, it was Snake Eyes, then Branded, then Snake Eyes again. I'm trying to remember what my 4th duel, was that a 4th duel? I don't know. I fought Snake Eyes twice, and I fought Branded. I believe I won the first 2, and then I lost the second, 3rd and 4th. But enough of that. Let's get into the deck profile. Starting off, we still just run the 1 Terra Incarnate and the regular Yubel. If you want to run the second one just to have it, you can. But I do plan in time to run the 3rd copy just because, I want to be different. Make the deck profile much more unique to me. And I do like Yubel's 3rd form the most because, it is Loving Defender just in regular main deck form. So just these 2. Next off, some people play 2. I still play the 3 Spirit of Yubel just because since Spirit Gates did get hit, this card does feel like it's become a lot more important because if your opponent does know you're playing Yubel, they do have to worry about you having the Spirit in hand, which did come up at least a few times in my matches. Really wish I was able to record them. But Spirit of Yubel is still one of the key cards of the deck. It is the key card because it gets you your spell and trap cards, except the field spell. And on destruction, no matter how many times it happens, you can summon regular Yubel from anywhere. Next, I do still run the 1 Unchanged Sharvara. I did have a different list where I ran Shayama, but I decided to take that apart to play with this one just how it is. And it worked pretty well. I play the 2 Dark Beckoning Beasts and the 1 Chaos Summoning Beast. For those that don't know why we run this, it's just because it's another name. Normally, when we had 3 Spirit Gates, we would be able to search this with it or search it with this. But now that Spirit Gates is now limited, these become a little less 1-card combo starters. I mean, they still help, but it does still good to have options, if that makes sense. Plus, this is another thing to help you fusion summon into Phantom of Yubel or pitch it with the 1 Spirit Gates. Next, I do still play the 3 Lotus as well as the 3 Grave Squirmer. Lotus is still our 1-card combo of the deck. Getting into Spirit, then Spirit gets us our Nightmare Pain, and then the ball moves forward doing that. And being able to revive itself or get itself back to your hand, if you control the original Yubel, you can either get it back to your hand for discard fodder or cost for certain cards that I still play in my deck, or just summon it back and have another interruption during the opponent's turn for monster effects by attributing itself a cost to change that monster's effect to destroying a Yubel you control, if able. And Grave Squirmer is just a free extender should you have a Fiend on the field to special summon it, and then you can destroy 1 Yubel or a monster that mentions it. It can't be any Fiend monster on your field, so keep that in mind. And you can banish it to summon 1 Fiend with 0 attack and defense from either hand or graveyard. It does not target. Next up is the 3 hand trap that's become much stronger now that Apple is banned, is the 3 Nibiru. This card fits this deck the most just because you don't care how strong the token gets, you still follow that relevancy that, we're Yubel. We're trying to run into big monsters as much as we possibly can to inflict that much burn damage or reflected damage. Then we still play the 3 Ash Blossom as, self-explanatory, hitting everything in the meta. And the last hand trap, of course, is the 3 Infinite Impermanence, being able to lock out a zone or just be able to activate this straight from the hand to stop an opponent's monster. These cards have become so much more stronger against the Snake Eyes deck. If you Ash the original Sinful Spoils or Ash Oak or Snake Eye Ash, their turn will often most likely end. They still have the Fiendsmith stuff, so if they have that to play with, they can, But then that's why we still have the Infinite Impermanence. If you can Ash anything in the Snake Eyes deck, you Ash the Fiendsmith Snake Eyes, you Ash the Requiem, or you Ash the Snake Eye Ash to summon from the deck, or the Oak, whichever one they use, and then, or you can imperm those two with this, and save Ash for the Requiem, because a lot of Snake Eye players are still going to be playing the Engraver stuff just because it is that ridiculous of an engine. That is it for the main monsters and hand traps. Let's move on to everything else. You gotta play still the 3 Nightmare Throne. This card is still amazing. Helps you get out of so many situations. On activation, you add or destroy a fiend with 0 attack or defense from your deck. And this helps turbo into a Phantom Yubel first turn, so that turns off the opponent's Nib, their own Ash or Droll or what have you. And should your Yubel monster leave the field by a card effect, be it Super Poly, a Nib, or they banish it, say with a Mirror Jade, you can activate the effect to add from your deck, graveyard, or banishment, I do believe. Or banish pile 1 Yubel monster that is a level higher or lower, and then you can summon it, ignoring its summoning conditions. So that's really helpful. I still choose to play the 3 Nightmare Pain now that Spirit Gates is now limited. This card is still important because everybody knows that this is the card to hit, and being able to get it back thanks to the 1 Spirit Gate is still pretty strong. So Nightmare Pain, the ace card of the entire deck, redirects all damage that you would take involving your Yubel monsters, and then once per turn you can declare the effect to destroy a dark monster you control or in your hands, so they have to reactively use something to that effect activation, because if it goes through, they can't, Ash it in between. I choose to now still play the 3 Super Poly, the key card to help interrupt boards. Super Poly. Next for our 1-ofs, the powerful 1 called by, the 4th copy of Nightmare Throne, and now the 1 copy of Opening of the Spirit Gates. Such a good card, It was fun while it lasted, but now we have you at the powerful 1-of. What's crazy is that I was able to get to this card a good amount during the locals on Tuesday, so it didn't even feel like it was at 1 to me, which is crazy. I have the 1 for 1 just because, Samsara Lotus on there. You can choose to not play it if you want to, but it helps bait out things. I choose now to play the 1 Mature Chronicle just because if I already have Nightmare Pain, I can just activate that and set this from the deck, or if I have this, I can place it, activate the Nightmare Pain from my deck later. It's just a very good card to help keep you in the game as much as possible, being that you can activate 1 of any of the effects, and it gains counters for every Yubel monster or monster Yubel that mentions Yubel is summoned to your field. You can remove a counter to activate 1 of 5 different effects. The first is to special summon a Yubel from your graveyard or hand. Summon a Yubel monster from your graveyard. well, summon a Yubel from your graveyard. So yeah, you have to summon the original. The second is adding one of your banished cards back to your hand. The third is banishing a card from your deck. The fourth is you destroy a card on the field, non-targeting. And then the fifth is you add Super Poly to your deck, from your deck to your hand. So, you could always cite one of these or two of these out just because you have an in way of searching it. But this card is still, I think it's good to be playing now. Since this is now limited, we'll keep bringing that up. But this card in general is still pretty good. It helps keep you going, especially if you have that pop effect. Popping something every turn is pretty strong. Now for the traps, I do play the one Escape of the Unchained. You can play the Reborn one if you want, or you can play both of them. It's always up to personal preference. But I feel using this to dodge things like an evenly match or pop something that, interrupting them during the opponent's turn is really good. And I played the one Eternal Favorite as well as the same going for this. This helps keep you in the game as much as possible, being able to summon one of your Yubel monsters back from the grave or banishment. And then the Super Poly effect is also nice, but since I already run the regular Super Poly, I often just use the Reborn effect just to keep myself, in the game, and then they're forced to attack my Yubels if I have Nightmare Pain up. That is a clean 40 cards. Let's get into the extra deck. For starters, we got our Nib token, signed by the boy MBT himself, so that's that. I run the Mud Dragon of the Swamp, along with the Garura, obviously, your Super Poly targets, as well as I choose to play 3 Phantom of Yubel, for the simple fact that summoning this is not a hard once per turn, except for the effect of it is. It's still a very, very, very good pressure card to keep on your opponent. Just be like, you activate. Say your opponent draws only one card, or they only have 2 cards left in the hand, one of them's a monster. Should that monster they need to go off, they know they can't, because this will change its effect just like Samsara Lotus does. Also, tributing this does not trigger off your Nightmare Throne field spell. I know it says if your cards leave the field by an effect, tributing effects of cards do not apply to that, because that's tributing for a cost of something, not for effect. Last thing I do run is the one Loving Defender Forever. This card is still good because of going time. Literally did that against the branded matchup. Super Poly away a good amount of his field, and being able to just still attack into something even without Nightmare Pain. This does burn damage and banishes the monsters, so helps you out of problematic situations. Just because I do find this tech cute, I played the Chaos Angel just because Phantom Yubel is a level 9 monster, and your Samsara Lotus and Grave Squirrel are level 1s, 9 and 1 make 10. Plus, if your level Spirit of Yubel or your regular Yubel leave the field by an effect, you can use the field spell to shuffle this back from the graveyard back into the extra deck, so the grind is always pretty real. We still play the one Verudrus because this is the one deck that can really use them the most until that new level 10 stuff comes out. Maybe I'll pick it up. Let me know if you guys want to see that. For the links, we still have the one Almirage to get our level 1s off the field easily, or our Chaos Summoning Beast. The one Cross Sheet, just because this card is broken. The one Muckraker. The one Arbitrary SP Little Knight, because we still play the Unchained Soul of Rage. Shouldn't have to explain these cards because many decks have already done that. The one Soul of Yama. And for my last card, I did put back in the Unchained Abomination, just for a link version of Verudrus, just being able to pop things, and a nice little replacement for Appaloosa. The extra deck can always change however you guys want to play it. You can play the access code stuff, you can make it more link heavy, you can play things like, you can play the little Fiendsmith engine with Close Heaven sequence if you choose to. You can even put in the DDD wave High Wave King Caesar by using Aerial Eater and the other Unchained monster, the Shayama, like I said. And you can also throw in Abyss Actor Super Producer if you want to, because he'll help pop your effects, because he pops the cards on the field, so he can trigger off your Yama and your Yubel monsters. Those are just things to keep in mind. You can also, if you want to, which I might try in the future, is run Barricade Board Blocker, because this card, for the cost of discarding a card, at the end phase you get back a continuous spell or a field spell from your graveyard back to your hand. Those are all just my opinionated options of what you guys can run. If you guys know anything else, you can let me know. And now on to the side deck. Again, the side deck was just thrown together in a sense, so I did throw in a 3-Cash Fenrir just because this is now even stronger against the Snake Eyes board. The 2 Cosmic and the 1 Feather Duster for back row. The 3 Mind Control for going second. This really came up against the branded matchup because I stole his, actually was the Snake Eyes matchup. I stole his Caesar and got max value off of it. I play the 1 Simmel Archfiends, 3 Solemn Judgment, just because, you know, if they evenly me, I just say no. Now you've wasted your battle phase. The 1 D-Barrier, and the 1 Anti-Spell Fragrance. Again, this is just thrown together what I had, thought it would, and a lot of it did work. But that's going to be it for my updated Yubel deck profile for the September 2nd ban list. Let me know what you guys think of it in the comment section below. I will try to get some more decks out for you guys. If you enjoy the content, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to my channel for more Yu-Gi-Oh based stuff, for duo videos, and more deck profiles like this. And follow me on my other socials like Patreon, Twitch. I will try to start streaming a little bit more, especially coming this month with the new Zelda game and the Sonic game coming out in October. And yeah, I think that'll be it. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.